Right, guys, let's see here how to create the partitions. We'll discuss now, guys, with the help of fdisk command. With the help of fdisk, how we need to create. Guys, give me 1 minute. I think there's a mic problem. Give me 1 minute. Can you hear me, guys? Am I audible? Online, can you hear me? Am I audible? Hello? Now it better? Right. And guys, 1 minute. Can you hear me, guys? Am I audible? Connect out or disconnect out only. Guys, better to log in as a root user. Right, guys? Okay. Is a command. Fdisk is a command, right? -L is option. Let's put the, it will list the disk information, how many partitions will have, everything it is going to list. Fdisk-L. Already yesterday we discussed, right? Yesterday we discussed about fdisk command, right? So here 40 GB hard disk will have, right? So total 40 GB. So hard disk name SDA. SDA is a hard disk name. So SATA hard disk will have. So guys, in our laptop, it doesn't have SCSI. Remember, only servers it having SCSI hard disk, right? So normal hard disk doesn't have SCSI hard disk. So normal laptops doesn't have SCSI hard disk. Normal hard disk only will have. So nowadays we'll have SSD also. SSD also it will consider as a SDA only. Okay. So maybe if you're having multiple hard disk into your laptop, right? You'll have one SSD, you'll have another normal hard disk. SDA, SDB. I hope you got it. SDA, first hard disk, like prime hard disk. So SDB, secondary hard disk. Primary hard disk and secondary hard disk. SDA, SDB, SDC, SDD, like this, it is going to provide the names for devices, right? So 40 GB and total in bytes, how many sectors will have? So this many sectors will have in 40 GB hard disk. I'll tell you what is sectors and those all stuff now, don't worry. So now how to create the partitions? Total 40 GB, total 40 GB. So fdisk dev sda is a command. Fdisk dev sda is right. So dev sda is a command. then hit enter. Welcome to fdisk. Util Linux 2.23.2, right? So fdisk means fixed disk. Disk means fixed disk. Got it, guys? We are trying to divide the partitions. Got it, guys? So how to divide the partitions? Let's see. Guys, M for help. If you're using M option, it will list out the help options, right? Intention, our target and and add a new partition. Guys, give me 1 minute. Online. Give me. Clear, right? Yes. Guys, can you hear me now? Am I audible? Hello, can you hear me? Online. Now it's okay. All right, good. Maybe I hope we doesn't have any issue from now onwards. Okay. So M to list out the help options, right? So P to print the partition table, guys, N add new partition. So now what our target, we need to create the partition, that is our target now. Okay. So P to print the partition table, right? DEV SDA 40 GB, right? 40 GB. Then two partitions already will have SDA1 and SDA2, right, guys? Those SDA1, SDA2 both belongs to operating system. While we are installing the operating system, we used LVM option. Automatically two partitions it got created to install the operating system. SDA1, this is for boot. How much? 400 MB. SDA1, this is for boot. This is for 400 MB. SDA2, right? 30 GB. Right, guys? So already we have two partitions. Don't disturb those partitions. If you're disturbing those partitions, you are going to lose operating system. Clear? So SDA1, SDA2 both belongs to operating system. Now we are trying to creating new partitions according to our requirement. So how to create the new partition? Add new partition. N is an option. N is an option to create the new partition. So P for primary. P means primary and E means extended. Yesterday we discussed, right? How many types of MBR partition schema? Two types, primary and extended. Fdisk is a command to create the MBR partitions, right? So primary P, already we'll have two primary, SDA1 and SDA2, two primaries, 0 extended, 2 free space. Maximum possibilities of the partitions are 4. That's it, na? Maximum possibilities of the partitions are 4, right? Okay. So P and E, already two primaries will have. Now, by default, it having P option means it's probing to us to create primary. So if you want, you can hit enter, provide P, hit enter. Without P also, you can hit enter. It will take automatically P. By default P, right? So P means primary. Already 1, 2 will have possibilities 3, 4. By default 3. 1, 2 and after 3. Or otherwise, if you want, you can provide 3. If you want, you can hit enter, or otherwise you can provide 3, then hit enter. Both are same. First sector. So guys, here we'll have sector numbers. What is first sector? So first sector, first of all, you need to understand the hard disk internal parts. Then you can able to understand what is sectors and cylinder, where it got located and those all stuff. Okay, so for better understanding purpose, I'm going to get few images from internet. Okay, let's see here. HDD internal parts. Think this is okay, right? So let's see guys here. If you open hard disk drive, if you open the hard disk, don't open, okay? If you open hard disk, that's it. It won't work again. So if you're having old hard disk, then you can open, okay? So don't try. So this is our hard disk. If you open the hard disk cover, then those all the components will have inside the hard disk. So guys, this is spindle motor. Spindle motor means it will spin, it will rotate. To whom it is going to rotate? To plotter. The plotter, it will attach to spindle motor. This is plotter. Aluminum oxide coated plotter. Aluminum oxide is a one metal. So aluminum oxide coated plotter. This plotter, it will connected to spindle motor. The spindle motor, it will rotate the plotter. It is going to spin the plotter, right? Okay. Inside this plotter, we are going to store the data. This plotter, it will be looking like DVD, right? But it's not a DVD, guys. So this is different metal plotter, okay? So inside this plotter, we are going to store and we are going to read the data. Who is going to write and read the data? Header. We'll have one small tip here, so not here, right? So this is header, guys. This header, it will read and write the data inside the plotter. Got it, guys? Maybe if you are trying to storing the data, this header, it is going to write the data inside the plotter, right? So now you need to retrieve, it will read the data from the plotter. So header, what it will do? It will read and write the data inside the plotter. This header, it will connecting to actuator arm. And this is actuator. This is an actuator motor. This actuator motor, it will rotate the header right and left. Left and right, it is going to rotate, okay? And this plotter, it will rotate by whom? Spindle motor. Then this header, it will read and write the data from the plotter. This is a mechanism, sorry. This is a mechanism will have inside the hard disk. So I hope you're clear how it is going to read, how it is going to write the data. So where it is going to read and write the data? Inside the plotter. In plotter, will have few logical parts. If you are assigning the file system, it will create few logical parts in plotter. Got it, guys? Let's see here. So let's see guys. Yeah, this is plotter. So this is plotter, right guys? Inside this plotter will have few logical components or logical parts, whatever if you want to can say. Guys, this round circles will have, see, black color round circles. That is called track. While you are assigning the file system, those all the like logical components it will create. So this round circles will have, say, those all tracks. This round circles are tracks, right? Those tracks, it got divided into multiple sectors. So this triangle part we are going to call sector. Like this, multiple triangle parts will have. Simple guys. If you purchase one round birthday cake, if you cut into the multiple pieces, then one piece, how it will be looking? In triangle shape, right? That is called sector. Super, right? So that is called sector. Clear guys? So this triangle part, this is called sector. So here we'll have multiple sectors here. So n number of the sectors will have, right? So usually how you're going to store the data inside the hard disk means, see guys, those all tracks, those tracks, it got divided into multiple sectors. So this track having in between one green color space, right? This is called cluster. Super guys. Okay. So that is called cluster. Very good. So I hope you understand very clearly. Okay. I'm very happy. So offline. So, okay. This is called cluster. This green color part. So header, it will store the data cluster wise, sector wise. First, it will take one sector. It will store the data cluster wise. So after that, next sector cluster wise, next sector cluster wise. Like this, it is going to store. It will read the data. It will write the data from plotter. I hope you're clear now. This round circles are tracks, right? Those all the tracks, it got divided into multiple sectors. The triangle part is a sector. This track having one space in between, that is called cluster. So how we are going to store the data? Cluster wise, sector wise, right? And this is called cylinder. Maybe if we having multiple plotters, if you're looking vertically, so that is called cylinder. This is called cylinder. Okay. So the birthday cake, if you look like vertically, so that is called cylinder. I hope you're clear guys, right? So now while you are trying to creating the partition, most of the people, what they are going to say, first sector we should not give, we need to go with the default. Why? Okay, simply most of the people, they are going to say first sector we should not give, just hit enter. But last sector we need to define. So why first sector we should not give anything? Simple guys. 400 GB, sorry, 40 GB hard disk will have here. In 40 GB, how many sectors will have? 83886080. Those many sectors will have. Sectors means the triangle parts, right? Okay. Assume this, we have 2000 square feet place. Right, guys? We have 2000 square feet place. Then we need to like build 4 classrooms into 2000 square feet place. How you are going to build? First feet to 500 feet, one classroom. 501 to 1000. 1001 to 1500. 1500 1 to 2000. Same logic here also. So total sectors, assume this, those many sectors will have. So first partition we are creating means first classroom, PVSDA. So it's not like this, we need to divide 4 classroom. According to your requirement, you can change the size, right? So here also same thing we are doing. So SDA1 is a first classroom. So first sector, usually we are going to calculate square feet 1. Here we are going to calculate 2048 sector number. First sector. And this is last sector, 821247. in between will have 400 MB. So this is a starting sector. It's an end sector for this partition. For this partition means assume this partition is a one classroom. So first feet to 500 feet. I hope you're clear. Got it, guys? HDA1 boot. This is starting sector and it's an end sector for this partition. In between will have 400 MB space. So this is 83 is a partition ID. This is called X code, hex code, HEX code, right? I will tell you what is hex code and those also, don't worry. So and this is Linux partition. And next partition we are trying to creating. So usually after 47, we need to start from 48, right? After 500, 501, 501, 2, we need to start. Are you going to start 510? Sorry, 510 feet? Unnecessary. Why? We need to waste 10 feet. After 500, we need to start from 500, 501. So you are going to start from 520 feet? No, right? We are going to start from 501. Like the same way. This is end sector 47. And next partition, we need to start from 48. And then this is an end sector for SDA2. In between will have 30 GB space. So I hope you got it, guys. Next, third partition we are trying to creating. So actually we end with 31, right? Usually we need to start from 32. So by default 32, because of that reason, we should not provide anything. We need to go with the default. If you want, you can provide 34, 35 also. Unnecessary. Why we need to waste the space? I hope you got it. First sector, we need to go with the default. Why? Because after 31, we need to start from 32. By default, already we'll have 32 only, right? So we are going with 32. I think, okay. It got delayed, right? And to create the new partition, P primary, third partition, right? First sector, we need to go with the default, then hit enter. Last sector, we need to define. Usually, we should provide the sector numbers. As a human, who's going to remember that lengthy numbers, right? It's a bit difficult to us. Because of that reason, you can define the size in KBs, MBs, and GBs. Last sector size, you can define in KBs, MBs, and GBs instead of sector number. If you want, you can provide the sector numbers also, it's not a problem. Okay. So plus 2 GB plus 2 GB. Let's see, guys. Partition 3 of type Linux and of size 2 GB set. So how to print the partition table? P. To print the partition table. See, guys, TVSDA3, it got created. So this is starting sector and it's a end sector. In between will have 2 GB space, that is 83 default Linux partition. I hope you got it. Now again, we are trying to creating the one more partition. How to create the partition, guys? Yes. Yes, N to create the new partition. Very good. So guys, if we observe by default, extended will have what we discussed in theory yesterday, 3 primaries, 1 extended, right? With the help of 1 extended, so we are going to create the multiple logical drives. Okay, forcefully we are trying to creating primary instead of extended. What will happen? Let's see. Usually we need to create the extended partition, guys. Already 3 primaries will have. Maximum possibilities of the partitions are 4. In that 3 primary, 1 extended. With 1 extended, we are trying to creating the multiple logical drives. Yes, no, right. So here forcefully we are trying to creating again one more primary. So total size of the hard disk is 40 GB. Already we utilized approximately 32 GB. Remaining 8 GB space will have. That's it, na? 30 GB for operating system. Before we created 2 GB standard partition. For 2 GB, right? So okay, approximately 32 GB something will have. Okay, remaining 800 GB space will have, but we are trying to creating 2 GB only from 8 GB. Okay. How many partitions? 4. Total, how many partitions will have? 4. SDA1, SDA2, SDA3, and SDA4. SDA1 and 2, it belongs to operating system. So before we created SDA3 and SDA4. Those both are our personal partitions, standard partitions. Clear, guys? Right. So 4 partitions will have, 4 partitions are primary partitions. If you having 4 primary partition, even if you having the space, we have 6 GB space approximately. So let's try to create one more partition. What will happen? See, can we able to create the partition? No, because possibilities of partition 4 only. If you're trying to creating 4 primary partition, it is not going to allow to create 5th partition. So read this error, you can able to understand. If you want to create more than 4 partition, you must replace a primary partition with an extended partition first. Clear now? What we discussed yesterday in theory, that is got proved here. Right? Now what we need to do? We need to delete the 4th partition. Then total 8 GB space, we need to convert into extended. Now at present, we'll have 6 GB space. The 6 GB, it became unused. There is no use. You are unable to create the partition with 6 GB. Then what we need to do? We need to delete this 4 GB 4th partition, SDA4 partition. Sorry, 2 GB 4th partition we need to delete. So after deleting this, we'll have 8 GB space. This total 8 GB space we need to convert into extended. How to delete? D to delete, guys. D is option to delete the partition. Got it? D is option to delete which partition? 4th partition we need to delete. Any partition we can. Don't delete first partition, second partition. If you're deleting that, that's it. So you're going to lose the operating system. Okay. So D, what you are trying to creating, only you need to delete those partition, man. Otherwise, you are going to get problem. Okay. If you need to delete first and second partition, better to take snapshot, then you can do. Because with the help of snapshot, we can able to recover again. So clear? So D to delete the partition, 4th partition, it got deleted. So P to print the partition table. See guys here. 4th partition, it got deleted. Now we are trying to creating new partition N. So now the total space, 8 GB space will have, we are going to convert the total 8 GB space into extended. So E for extended. Then first sector, don't give. And last sector also, we should not give anything. Because total 8 GB from here to here. From this sector number 2. So last sector will have total 8 GB. So we are converting total 8 GB space into extended partition. Then hit enter. See guys, partition 4 type extended and then size 8.3 GB is set. So P to print the partition table. See guys here. 4th partition it got created, right? 8 GB space and it's extended. So yesterday we discussed, can we able to store the data into the extended directly? We are unable to store the data into extended partition directly. What we need to do? We need to create the logical drives. With the help of logical drives, we can able to store the data, right? How to create the logical drive? Same option, N, to create the partition. Here it won't ask primary and extended because already 3 primaries will have, 1 extended will have. We completed primary and extended partition. Now by default, it will create the logical drive. Okay. First sector, same. We should not give anything. Last sector, we need to define according to our requirement size. Plus 2 GB. So P to print the partition table. See guys, more than 4. 5th partition. Then N to create the new partition. First sector, don't give anything. Last sector, 2 GB we are providing again. Yes. Like this, you can create 15 partitions. But you should have the space, then only we can able to create. So I hope you got it, guys. How to create the partitions with the help of fdisk command. gdisk also same options. Instead of fdisk, you can use gdisk. It will convert into the GPT. Clear, guys? So now what we did the changes into a partition table, we need to save those changes. W is an option to save and quit. So W is an option, save and quit, guys. It is going to save and we are going to quit from the disk. We are back to terminal. Right. So guys, read this warning message. The partition table failed with error 16. So read this message, guys. The kernel still uses the old table. The new table will be used at next reboot or after you run part probe or kpartx command. We did few modification into partition table, man. Okay. This modification kernel, he don't know. Even if you create the partition, you are unable to utilize without informing to the kernel. So kernel, it's using still old partition table, SDA1, SDA2. Kernel, he don't know SDA3, SDA4, SDA5, SDA6. So we are unable to store the data. After modifying the partition table, it's mandatory to reboot. But in real-time environment, frequently we should not reboot the server. Right, guys? Because of that reason, we are going to use those command called part probe or kpartx instead of rebooting. If you want, you can reboot it. It's not a problem. If you want, you can reboot. But in real-time environment, many servers, it is going to run into our server operating system. Because of that reason, we should not reboot. So instead of rebooting, we need to use part probe or kpartx. Now, what is the difference between part probe and kpartx? Part probe is a command. It will request the kernel to update the partition table. So part probe, it is going to communicate to the kernel, boss, we did few modification into the partition table. Please update it. Then use the new partition table. So like this, it will request to the partition table. It will request the kernel to update the partition table. Got it, guys? kpartx, it will inject forcefully. Right. If I'm requesting to you peoples, you are going to listen what I'm trying to teaching. If I'm trying to if I'm commanding on you, then what you are going to do? Sponsor me, use some antaru. So I hope you got it. Right? So if I'm requesting to you, maybe you can able to do what I'm trying to teaching. You are going to do the practice and everything in a like a good manner. Then if I'm trying to forcing, then what will happen? Imran sir baga cheptaru gaani తిడతారు. So clear, guys? Yes, no, and we are going to get some so kpartx also you can use, it's not a problem. But kpartx, it will inject the kernel to update the partition table. Part probe, it will request the kernel to update the partition table. Better to use part probe. Okay. So I hope you got it, guys. So after executing part probe command, then only new partition table in live we can able to use, we can able to store the data. Otherwise, we are unable to store the data. Or instead of executing the part probe and kpartx, if you want, you can reboot the operating system. Your wish. Right? But in real-time environment, we'll have many services. Because of that reason, we should not reboot the machine frequently because of that reason. So we need to take a permission from our administrator for rebooting. Those all very lengthy process. Better to execute part probe or kpartx. Clear, guys? As of now, if you having any doubts, any questions, please. Yes, guys. I hope you're clear. Online. Online. What happened online today? Huh? Today offline is active, online is off. Huh? Weekend? You are in weekend mode online? Huh? Yes. Shiva Prasad, he's in weekend mode, right? Okay, right. No issues. I think we have many movies, right? This week. Ramabana will have some different English movie also will have one. What is that? Galaxy something. Something. Yes. I think it having 9.4 rating, man. I need to go today. Guardians of Galaxy, right? Uh, Late night sleep. Movie name or otherwise you are going to sleep late today late night. Huh? I'm unable to understand. Manigandan. Huh? Okay, yesterday full moon. Okay, right. So to yesterday late night sleep. Okay, I got it. I got it. Purnami. Very good. So devotionally, right? I think Manigandan, he's a very okay. So I understand. Okay, guys, this is enough. I think break. Huh? So come back, return back to class again. So Manikantan and few peoples. So they are saying they're in weekend mode. So hardly half an hour will have that set. Okay. Then you're going to enjoy your weekend. And after half an hour, okay. So very good peoples, 40 peoples around 41 peoples to logged in today. Very good, right? So guys, see when you're going to enjoy the weekend, tell me. If you get the job, if you are settled, then you can able to enjoy the weekend. Huh? So without job, how you can able to enjoy the weekends? I'm unable to understand. Huh? पैसा चाहिए ना, right? So मूवी को जाने के लिए 500 चाहिए. हाँ, अगर कहीं और जाने के लिए 2000 चाहिए. हाँ, and then if you need to go to restaurant, we should have the like 3 to 4,000. 4 to 5 people, if you go to restaurant, always like so 3 to 4,000. It will we need to pay the bill, right? So first of all, get the job. Don't bother about the weekends. Then after getting the job, you can enjoy weekends. Not only in weekends, you can enjoy weekdays also. It's not a problem because most of the people they are doing work from home, right? They are enjoying in weekdays also. Okay, right. So let's see, guys. Here, so we update the partition table, right? Part probe, k part x, and those all stuff we need to execute. One command is enough. Part probe is enough. Part probe is a command. It will request the kernel to update the partition table. Okay, good, guys. Let's check fdisk-l. How many partitions will have? 6 partitions will have SDA1, SDA2, SDA3, SDA4, 5, 6. Now, how to store the data inside this partition? For example, we need to store the data inside the DB SDA3.
Recording in progress.
SDA3. Now inside this partition, we need to store the data. In Windows, how you're going to store the data, guys, inside the partition? Windows having one good feature, right? What kind of feature will have in Windows? It will assign automatically one drive letter for partition. If you try to creating one partition, automatically it is going to assign one drive letter. Right, guys? Okay. So drive letter is a mount point in Windows. Coming to Linux, we doesn't have any drive letters by default. We need to assign. We need to allow the drive letter. We need to assign the drive letter to the partition to open the partition to store the data inside the partition. That is called mount point. Here we are not going to call drive letter. We are going to call mount point. Mount point. How to create the mount point? Which directory by default we are going to use to create the mount point? If you have the strong knowledge in file system hierarchy, then you can able to give the answer. Which directory we are going to use to create the default mount point for any partition? M and T, right? M and T is an empty directory. It doesn't have anything. With the help of M and T, we can able to create the mount point. M and T, it will act like as a drive letter. To create the mount point for any partition, by default directory is M and T. How to create the mount point? Let's see. Mount is a command. dev sda3, guys. Then M and T. If you're executing this, what will happen? Write protect error we are getting. Why? First of all, we need to assign the file system, right? So yesterday we discussed, if you purchase the one plot in Hyderabad, what you need to do first? You need to clean, right? So without cleaning this hard disk, how you can able to store the data? How you can able to assign the drive letter? First of all, we need to assign the file system. What kind of file system we need to assign? We need to call JCBs and workers. So here JCBs and workers, ext4, XFS, ext2, ext3, those all file systems in Linux we are going to use, right? How to format? mkfs is a command. Making file system is a command. -t type. -t type, right? And what kind of file system you need to assign for particular device or particular partition, you can define according to your requirement. So by default, RHEL 7.0, it having XFS. If you want, you can provide XFS or otherwise ext4 also, it's not a problem. Your wish, your client wish, depends upon your requirement. They can, you know the differences between ext4 and XFS. Already we discussed yesterday, right guys? Then partition name, SDA3, then hit enter. We assign XFS file system for DVSDA3. Like the same way for DVSDA5, for DVSDA6 also. But you are unable to assign the file system for DVSDA4. 4 is extended. So we are unable to assign the file system for DVSDA4. 4 is an extended partition. If you want, you can assign for 5 and 6. Like how we are trying to assigning the file system for DVSDA3, like the same way, right? Okay, so we need to verify whether the file system is assigned or not. So how to verify? blk id is a command. Block id. So blk id is a command. Then dvsda3. Then hit enter. See guys here, dvsda3 is a partition name, and this is UUID of that particular partition. UUID means universal unique ID. Each and every device, each and every partition, it having one UUID to identify the device. Universal unique ID, UUID. So you'll have the UUID for Ethernet, you'll have the UUID for hard disk. For any device, will have the UUID to identify. Okay. So type XFS means we assign the file system for DVSDA3. So this is one option. BLK ID. BLK ID full form, block ID. BLK ID full form, block ID. So if you're executing BLK ID command, you will get the UUID and partition type for particular partition, right? Okay. So if you want, you can use parted also. Parted also. Go bit up. So let's see guys here. Parted -l. See guys, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you go to third partition, how much? 2 GB. primary partition, we assign XFS file system. And this is extended. This is logical drives. Those both are logical. 5 and 6, both logical drives. But doesn't have any file system. If you're having the file system, then only we can able to store the data. So here we assign the file system, XFS file system for this partition. If you want, you can use parted also. Parted -L also you can use. It's not a problem. With the help of parted -L also, you can able to find out the information about particular partition. If you want, you can use BLKID. If you want, you can use parted -L to know the file system type. Okay, right. So we assign the file system. Then what we need to do? We need to create a mount point. So how to create the mount point? Mount point means we are assigning drive letter. We are assigning drive letter. Mount dev sda 3/mnt. Got it, guys? Simple command. Mount is a command and partition name, and then where we need to create a mount point. Now this /mnt, it will act like as a drive letter for DVSDA3. Now we are going to store the data into the MNT actually with the help of MNT. MNT doesn't have any, it doesn't have anything. If you try to creating the files and directories inside the MNT, right? Those files and directories, it will store into DVSDA3. The /mnt, it will act like as a drive letter. That's it. So in Linux, we are going to call mount point. Simple, guys. This is one classroom. You need to attend the class into this classroom. Without knowing the classroom number, how you can able to attend the session? Clear? Right. Now how to store the data? CD MNT. Now CD command will work because MNT is a directory, right? Then try to create few files and directory inside the MNT. So got it, guys? So we created few files and directories. Okay. So how to know the mount point? Whether the mount point is created or not, we need to find. Mount is a command. Mount is a command. Then hit enter. See, guys, SDA3 on MNT type XFS, and those all default permissions. Read write permissions will have real time scalable attributes, everything will have. By default, system default permissions will have. By default, read write permissions will have. So if you want, you can give read only permission also. How to provide, I will tell you, don't worry. Right? df-th. See, guys, both are same. If you want, you can use mount command. If you want, you can execute df-th. Df full form, disk free space -T. Capital T represents type H, human readable format. H means human readable format. So df-th also you can use. Capital T, small h. Then see, guys, here DVSDA3, it's having XFS file system. It's mounted on where /mnt, and 2 GB available, 2% we used. Total free space will have 2 GB free space will have, 2% we used, right? Because of mount point. So clear? I hope you got it, right? Then reboot it. What will happen? Let's see. If you're rebooting the operating system, you're going to lose the mount point. You're not going to lose the data. Remember, you're not going to lose the data. Remember, you're going to lose the mount point. Means the drive letter it is going to remove. That's it. You'll have the data into your DVSDA3. Got it, guys? For better understanding purpose, I'll do one thing. Instead of using MNT, we are going to use our own directory. It's not like this. You need to use MNT. If you want to can create one empty directory, then use the directory as a mount point. Clear? So right guys, let's see here. Let's check whether we'll have the mount point or not. So let's see guys here. Do we have the mount point now? Yes guys. Yes, no. Huh? Online. Do we have the mount point now? With MNT? Yes, no guys. Can you hear me? Online, Pavan. We doesn't have. Before we created temporary mount point. Before we created temporary mount point. So if you reboot the operating system, you're going to lose temporary mount point. Okay. If you want to can create one directory instead of MNT, we are trying to creating one directory on top of the desktop. mkdir home student desktop dir1. So now create mount point with mount command dev sda3, then home student desktop dir1 instead of MNT. See, we got one icon on top of the desktop. Solid drive, hard disk. It's a one partition. See, if you open this, this is called mount point. You'll have the data. Clear, guys? So CD, home student, desktop dir1. Let's check the list. Actually, we didn't store the data into MNT. With the help of MNT, we stored into SDA3. MNT is an empty directory to create a mount point. That's it. So instead of MNT, we used our own directory that is called dir1. Then if you reboot, what will happen? See, on top of we'll have an icon, right? That hard disk icon. You're going to lose that icon. That icon is a mount point. Clear? I hope you got it, guys. We are trying to creating temporary mount point, Akash. We didn't discuss still how to create the permanent mount point. Okay. Now we are going to discuss. So let's see, guys, here. This is a temporary mount point. With the help of mount command, we can able to create only temporary mount point, right? So if you reboot the operating system, you're going to lose the mount point. If you need permanent mount point, even if you rebooting, you should not lose the mount point. We should have the drive letter. How? Guys, here we need to edit one configuration file called etc/fstab. Okay. etc/fstab is a file we need to edit. Okay. How to edit? How to edit the configuration file? Got it, guys? So I hope you're clear. So see here, we doesn't have the icon on top of the desktop. Okay. Now let's create a mount point. vim/etc/fstab, then hit enter. Guys, if you observe, you'll have already few mount points. dev root mapper rhel root mount point / top level directory. Actually, this is a root partition. For root partition, / is a mount point. I hope you got it. And file system XFS. Default permissions. I'll tell you what is this one and those all stuff. Okay. So like the same way for boot, like the same way for home, swap. Like the same way, we are going to add the manual entries for our partition. Insert, go to end of the page, DEV SDA3, first field, partition name. First field, partition name. Second field, mount directory path, where you need to create a mount point, on which directory you need to create a mount point. With the help of with the help of dir1, we are trying to creating the mount point where it got located on top of the desktop. Home, student, desktop, dir1. Got it, guys? Then third field, file system type. What kind of file system we assign for that particular partition? XFS. And default is a permissions. System default permission. If you need read-only permission, comma RO. Got it? If you need read-only permission, comma RO, read-only permission. So if you need ACLs, guys, here, no need to provide any ACL permission from RHL 7.0 onwards. In old version, we need to provide ACL permissions if you need ACLs. So by default itself only, we'll have ACL permissions. Okay. Next. Fifth field, dump field, dumping field, dumping. 0 disable, 1 enable. You need to enable the dumping, keep 1. So doesn't need any dumping. So because of that reason, we are trying to disable it. Okay. Dumping means dump, to take a dump. Okay. Right. So 0 disable. Last field, 0 disable. Actually, last field is a check sequence field. Okay. Fifth field, dumping. Sixth field, check sequence. Check sequence. For example, you are trying to rebooting the operating system. At the time, kernel, it will check each and every partition, whether it having the back clusters or not. Back clusters means we'll have cluster, right? You're going to store the data cluster wise, right? So the cluster, it is going to become like, maybe if you're having small dust on cluster, it is not going to read. That is called back cluster. Sometimes it's unable to read the data from that cluster because of some dust. Maybe the cluster, it got damaged. That is called bad cluster. So if you having bad clusters into your partition, if you enable check sequence, it is not going to allow. Will get emergency mode. It is going to redirect to the emergency mode. Right, guys? So because of that reason, we are disabling the check sequence option. 0 disable, 1 enable, 2 it will check later. Recommended 0 or 2. We don't know whether we'll have the bad clusters or not. Right? So because of that reason, better to disable the check sequence. So if you enable the check sequence, if you're having the bad cluster, it is not going to allow into our operating system. Got it, guys? Simple. For example, you are attending Linux session. So our management, like admin, he's tried to checking each and every person ID card, whether you're authorized or not. Right? So few peoples, they're all authorized for this class because they are holding ID card. One guy, he forgot. He doesn't have the ID card. So he's a bad cluster now. I hope you got it, right? So this guy doesn't have the ID card. Management, they're not going to allow into our class like the same way. Already, you know, clusters, tracks, cylinders, sectors, and those also we discussed, right? Bad cluster means there is a damage with that cluster. So we'll have some Dust, maybe because of dust only, it will create the bad clusters there. Right? Got it, guys? Save and quit. Then mount -a is a command. Then hit enter. Because what we did the modification into our etc fstab file, those all the modification we need to reset. So mount -a. Then see, guys, automatically mount point it got created on top of the desktop. If you want to can open this mount point, you'll have the data. You are not going to lose the data. Clear? Yes, no? Then try to reboot. What will happen? If you rebooting, even you are not going to lose the mount point. You'll have the mount point permanently on top of the desktop. With the help of fstab file. Using fstab file, we are trying to creating the permanent mount point for partition. Huh? Mount A means all. Otherwise, mount /dvsda3 also you can give. A means all the mount points we are trying to reset, right? So I hope you got it, guys. How to create the mount point, permanent mount point, right? So you know how to store the data. With the help of that mount point, you can store the data. So see, guys, we didn't lose. We'll have the mount point on top of the desktop. So if you want, you can check with the help of df-th command. Got it, guys? Clear? Good. Now, if you reboot even, you are not going to lose the data. Okay, good. How to? Got it, Akash? I hope you're clear. Akash, how to create the temporary mount point, how to create the permanent mount point, right? So, temporary mount point, just command is enough, mount command. So if you need to create permanent mount point, you need to edit the etc fstab file. With the help of etc fstab file, so we are going to create the permanent mount point. Already we know inside the etc fstab what kind of entries we need to add. First field, partition name. Second field, mount point directory path. And third field, file system. Fourth field, permission. Fifth field, dumping. Sixth field, check sequence. Clear? Good. Okay. So like this, you can create the mount point for SDA5, for SDA6 also. You can do your own. Same like what we did now, like the same way you can assign the file system for SDA5 as well as SDA5, create the mount point with different directories. Okay. Right. How to delete? How to delete, right? So guys, first of all, you need to remove the entries from fstab file. vim/etc fstab. Okay. Delete those entries, guys. You need to go to etc fstab, open, delete those entries, and then save and quit. Then mount -a, right? Unmount it. Unmount dev sda3. Simple. Okay. So mount and unmount. How to create the mount point? dev sda3, then home, student, desktop, dir1, right? Usually we'll have like this mount point. How to unmount? You mount. Guys, if you want, you can use dev sda3 or mount point directory name also, both are same. If you want, you can use home student dir1 also, home student desktop dir1 also, both are same. It got unmounted. If you want, you can verify df-th. There is no mount point for this. DVSDA3, right? Then go to fstab. Sorry, fdisk, not fstab. Go to fdisk, then open, delete. So if you need to delete third partition, it got deleted. If you want, you can delete fourth, fifth, sixth, whatever. If you want, you can do. So we are trying to deleting fourth partition. Sixth partition, it got deleted. Fifth partition deleted. Fourth partition deleted. P to print the partition table. Don't delete SDA1 and SDA2. W to save. Then part probe, DEV, SDA. That's it. Clear, guys? I hope you got it. How to create the partitions, how to format the partitions, how to create the mount point, how to store the data. We have two different mount points. Temporary mount point will have as well as permanent mount point will have. So with the help of mount command, we are going to create the temporary mount point. Using fstab file, we are creating permanent mount point. That's it. Okay. Then if you're giving some time, I'll finish swap partition. Additional swap partition. Maybe it will take half an hour. Do you have the DevOps and AWS sessions now? If you're having DevOps and AWS sessions, then I will leave you. Okay. Otherwise, AWS will have Pavan. Please take it on Monday. Why you are feeling bored, Subham? Huh? Huh? Right. So I think like you are thinking what kind of Imran sir he's taking Saturdays also like that, right? I know. So guys, we are in learning stage. See, don't bother about the Saturdays nowadays. After getting the job, then you will get the Saturday holiday and those all stuff. Even if you're having the holiday, you are not going to bother about holiday. Okay. So सब लोग सैटरडे हॉलीडे नहीं चाहिए, वर्क कंप्लीट करना चाहिए बोल के बैठ जाते हैं ऐसे ही, right? So we are in learning stage. Please try to understand as soon as possible, complete your sessions and get the job. Why you are wasting unnecessary, right? So if it is a really genuine issue, then it's okay. So because of movies and because of enjoyment, please don't take the holidays on Saturdays. Anyway, you'll have the holiday on Sunday, right? Okay. Yes, guys, if you're having any doubts, any questions, please. Guys, if you miss the session, you are going to lose. Yes, you're going to lose your knowledge, right? So, right. Okay. So, guys, still, if you're having any doubts, any questions in partitions, please.